Welcome back to our Santa Fe Fashion's YouTube channel. If we haven't met before, I'm Stephen Cuomo, executive producer of Santa Fe Fashion Week. So recently I was hired by Fidelity Title to shoot some video over at the Sheraton Hotel. They're hosting a conference for local realtors here in the Albuquerque metro area. And what was interesting, although they brought in some speakers from the local government, they were talking about economic forums and things of that nature. They also flew in someone who specializes in social media. Her name is Chelsea Peitz. And she talked a lot about Instagram and Facebook and how to build your social media for realtors. But also, I think it also would play into for photographers, models, fashion designers. And so I'm going to link the video below, and I hope you enjoy it.
Definitely want to make sure that you take a picture of this so you know where to connect with me after today's session. And I have a free 21-page download that is going to help you go through literally everything that I talk about today. This 5-step content framework I'm going to share with you, we're moving quickly. So you're going to want to get your photos out, you're going to want to take pictures, connect with me here, and ask me any questions you like. The goal today is to get you unstuck from your social media overwhelm. It's to get you unstuck with how to create content that's actually going to convert ready-to-work leads and build your brand so that while you are sleeping, people are coming into your email and your inbox and saying, I would like to work with you. Now there is an important disclaimer. There is no magic hashtag formula. If there was, I would be selling it and making a lot of money. There is no one size fits all, which is beautiful because all of us are different, all of us have different passions and hobbies, and everything can be tailored to suit your personality style, whether you are an extrovert or you're an introvert, whether you're a private person, all of those things, yes, we're going to make it tailored to you. Social media is challenging, especially as someone who teaches it, because there is no 1 + 1 = 2. There's no linear ROI. You cannot have X number of posts equate to X number of transactions because people are not metrics. And that's what we're dealing with on the socials. Social media relationships are real life, and those take time just like anything else. So I'm going to give you a little bit of background about who I am and how we're going to talk about this today. So I do have a background in psychology. My degree is in clinical psychology. I was going to be a therapist. Obviously, I did not end up doing that. But I am one of the few people on the planet who has actually studied how cameras, in combination with social media platforms like Instagram stories, Snapchat, anything with a camera, and talking to that camera has actually changed how we communicate, how we build communities, and most importantly, how our brains work. And so for about a year, this is the wall in my office. This is a bunch of computer paper I taped up to the wall and then wrote all these notes down. And I studied brains biology and behavior, neuroscience, the psychology of social media. And what I found after that year is that there really is a science to this screen-to-screen phenomenon. Me looking at you through a device, whether it's a laptop or a TV or Zoom or social media. And what I will summarize for you is that there really is a camera-first formula. And I know that everyone in here loves to look at themselves on video. I know that. Right? We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about why your brain loves to see other people's faces but hates to see your own. That's actually a real scientific fact. But what's happened is that we have these platforms that are combining some really powerful scientific stuff. The neuroscience of visuals, which I will go into because it's important for you to know why showing your face is an unfair advantage to accelerating the like, know, and trust. And why your brand has to show on these platforms, and it's not okay to be anonymous anymore. So we're going to talk about why scientifically that's happening. The sociology of us wanting to love and belong and be part of a community and talk to everyone. I don't know about you, but in 2020, and most of 2021, you didn't see me or communicate with me unless you had my Zoom link or it was on social media. And so you can be human through technology and create real relationships. And then, for better or for worse, product psychology. How do these things get us using it and keep us coming back? And all of that changes and designs our behavior. And when our behavior changes, our expectations change with it. So this is a big brain up here. It's a little bit hard to see, but there's a green area and a pink area. Those are actually cameras, basically. They function like a camera would, and that's all they do. Those two spots in your brain, the fusiform gyrus, actually take pictures of people's faces. And what would happen if you damaged either one of those parts of your brain, you would have something called facial blindness, which means I would know I'm looking at a face, but I would have no idea who it actually belonged to. And faces are so critically important that 9 minutes after a human is born, they can already start to discern their mother's face from someone else's. And looking at faces is how we understand each other, how we relate, how we develop relationships and communities. And so when we talk about social media and being on video and sharing your brand and all those things that come with it, all the things that we say to ourselves like, ooh, I don't like how my voice sounds. What if I say the wrong thing? I'm a really humble person. I don't want it to all be about me. We're going to tackle all of those things because I've said them too. But what happens is we have these things called mirror neurons, and we can't help it. It's kind of like when you see someone yawn, and then you're like, oh, don't do it, I want to yawn, I can't control it. It's also why when we're talking here and you're listening to me and we're all focused on the same thing, we're all firing in the same pattern. We're having this really hot neural experience together right now. And it also happens when I see you anywhere, in person, on social, on Facebook, Instagram, whatever it is. So literally and figuratively, you can be top of mind with all of your clients at scale. Because guess what? I actually can't look at each one of you in the eye right now. But if you were all watching my video, I could make eye contact with every single one of you. I can't meet 20 people in person in a day. But with social media, they could be consuming my content. I could touch 1,000, 5,000, 20,000 eyeballs. So it's about being top of mind. This is a very respected author. I love his book called Hooked, Nir Eyal. He allowed me to use this in my first book that I wrote. He is a product psychologist, helping anyone from cigarette companies to Snapchat addict and hook people for good and not evil. And now he has unraveling that, and he's helping companies unravel that. But what happens here, and this is why I want you to pay attention, because I am talking a lot about behavior, because I want to get your mindset involved and understand why social media is going to be critical for your business and your brand. What happens all the time is this right here. We have a trigger. Okay, maybe I just got a little notification on my phone. That trigger makes me say, ooh, I want to see who's talking. What is this? So I open it, I take that action, and I have a reward. That reward is someone saying something nice. Maybe it's happy birthday. Maybe it's, oh, I love that cute dog you just rescued. Whatever it is, it gave me a reward, and now I want to keep doing it. And so we all get hooked doing these things. This is the basis of how our behavior is trained. So in summary, there is a science. Faces accelerate trust. Ask yourself, are you showing your face? If I go to your social media right now, will I see your faces or will I only see houses? It's critical, especially in a tech-driven world where we are now going to be communicating and meeting. We just heard the city council talking about it's no longer a nice to have. They're not coming in person. They want to see the virtual world. I bet in this last 2 years, you've probably shown more houses than you ever had before on FaceTime, because not everybody was able to be there. The sociology of these shared experiences where people who are watching my story right now can be a part of my story and know that I flew from Arizona to New Mexico today, that yesterday it was a snowstorm and that I didn't pack anything with socks to be in this weather. Somebody actually brought that up. They're like, oh, you don't have any socks on in the plane. I'm like, nope, I don't. And this idea that as we continue to pour into communities, we're going to keep staying there. We're going to use them more and more and more. So this was my first book called Talking in Pictures. And I called it that, not knowing there was going to be a pandemic where everybody was going to be online talking to their phone. And I called it that because the CEO of Snapchat said, parents look at their daughter or son and they wonder why they're taking 100 pictures of random things all day long. And what they don't realize is that they're not preserving memories. They're talking. They're communicating. And that's how we're communicating. So truly the camera is the new social feed, and this one I want you to take a picture or write down. We use online cues to make offline judgments. We do it all day long, every day. We are very close to our own story. I was a real estate agent for 18 years. We always think, well, you know, we're a referral-based business, we're a people-based business. Absolutely, nothing is going to ever replace the ability for me to sit across from you physically in the same room. But when you take our industry out of it, if all we have to go on is a star rating and it's the same price, which one are we going to pick? That's how we take mental shortcuts. So we're going to talk a little bit about mental shortcuts and how it relates to your brand. Here's a really simple one. Next week, I'm flying, going to a conference. I've never been here before at this place, so I went to Expedia and I looked at the hotels. There was 4 hotels. The pictures all looked pretty good, so I'm like, well, I don't know which one's better. Now, 2 of them were over $100 more expensive than the other ones. And so for a moment, I said to myself, I wonder if these are better. That's an example of a mental shortcut. It doesn't mean that more expensive is better, but my brain doesn't want to burn any calories, and we are making decisions quickly. So we look at these things called trust signals. So I want you to think about data points. These are just data points. What are they? These are just a couple. Could be comments, could be friends in common. Who accepts friend requests if you don't know them, you've never heard of them, and you have no one in common? Not all the time. Once in a while, you might maybe go to a conference. You're like, well, maybe these are people from the conference. But we look at things like this. How many followers do you have? Which is really unfortunate because you can buy that. But when people open something up and they say, wow, you've got 50,000 followers, you probably really know what you're doing. Maybe, maybe not. How many star ratings do you have? How many videos do you have? That's the world that we're living in now. I took an Uber here from the airport today. I was not scared. I usually, like 8, 9 years ago, would have been like, well, that's kind of weird. I don't really want to get into the back of a stranger's car and let them drop me off somewhere. But I trusted them, as did these people in this study, who trusted Uber drivers more than their neighbors. Because here's why. I open up my phone, I see their name, I see a picture, and I see a rating, and I'm like, 4.79? No, I don't want to get in that car, right? That's what we do every day with all the things. This is a picture of my son Mason, probably about 4 years ago, and this changed my life. This is why it made it into the deck. So he loved to watch YouTube kid cartoons in the morning before he would go to preschool. So one morning he said, Mommy, I don't want to watch this cartoon anymore. And I said, babe, you love that cartoon. You watch it every day. We know all the characters. Why don't you want to watch it now? And he goes, Mom, it only has 4 of the stars. And I was like, Wow. I'm like, I've never talked to my child, my toddler, about star ratings. He innately knew that this one right next to it, this square, had 5 or 1 more, or all of them colored in. They were all filled in. And actually decided to stop watching something he knew he liked because of that. I've never taught him that. So it's innate in how we're making these mental shortcuts. Industry is irrelevant, human behavior is not. It's not okay to be anonymous in 2022. And so we're going to talk about how you can create content that's going to captivate and going to convert and not burn you out. So this is the 5 steps. Feel free to take pictures. Feel free to write notes. If you've missed something, you can always send me a DM. And please, don't forget, get that free download. It's 21 pages that goes with what I'm about to teach you today. So step number 1 is to become the super fan. Oftentimes, when we hear the word super fan, we think of it in terms of, oh my gosh, I have to make content so that I have super fans, that people love what I'm saying and they love my brand and they're raving fans, and yes, that would be amazing. That's not the kind of super fan I'm talking about. I want you to think in terms of, if you have content stress, if you feel like you don't have time, if you feel like your life is too boring, if you don't know what to say, if you're confused by hashtags, and a million other things, the one thing all of us know how to do is be a human being and say hi and talk to people, right? If somebody said good morning, what would you do? Run away? No, you'd say, hey, good morning, right? So we can all do that. You don't have to be on video to do that. And I want you to think of you becoming the super fan of other people's content intentionally. Your past clients, your current clients, people who can refer you business. I have had the opportunity to work directly with Facebook and Instagram. I know how their algorithms work. I'm going to share that with you. Part of our brand is controlled by the socials, the algorithm. It's a fancy word for a recipe. It's like baking a cake. You have eggs, you have flour, you put it together, mix it up, put it in the oven. The eggs and the flour, those are the ingredients. Eggs and flour for us on social media, who we're talking to, how long we're watching something. It's data points going into a computer. And the computer doesn't know if you're friends with this person or with that person. It's just looking at data points. So when we know how to work with those data points, what data points to give it, you can actually have a really amazing experience on social media without having to post. Not that I'm saying you should never post content. We need to do that. But I'm going to teach you right now how to build your brand without ever making a post. Here's how we work with them. This is Facebook's algorithm. Meaningful interactions is what they're looking for. I'm going to put Instagrams up here too. Now, I'm not going to go through all the other things, and are these the only things that are in the algorithm? No. But I'm going to give you what I know is the most important. On Facebook's side, it says meaningful interactions. What are meaningful interactions to a computer? It's data points. It's saying, well, how am I going to guess that you like this person, you know this person? It's watching who you're talking to, who you comment on, who you like, whose videos you watch. And then on Instagram, you see number 2 there says relationship. How does a computer know you have a relationship or want to have a relationship with someone? It doesn't. It only knows that every time you see this person's post, you're engaging. So with that in mind, you can intentionally engage with people that you want to be seen by. Because what happens is the computer says, okay, well, Chelsea comments on April's stuff all the time. We know that Chelsea wants to see more of April, so we're going to push her up higher in the feed so that she sees her more. Now, because April's a nice person, she's commenting back. And now we have a two-way communication, and the data points say both of these people should see each other's content. So when I do make a post that's valuable about the market, about what's going on, whatever it may be, she's going to see it because I'm talking to her. So these are how the algorithms work. So when you're a super fan, you are where the attention is, meaning you can build your brand without content. I wrote a second book, which is 250 pages. It's called What to Post. I wrote a whole book about making content. So don't get me wrong. I love making content. But I want to empower you with the idea that you don't have to make content to build a brand and use social media platforms. Your comments are extraordinarily valuable content, especially to the person who posted. And so what happens is every single time that I make a comment, April gets a notification. Whether she has them turned on or not, all of my notifications are off. But when I open up my phone, which happens multiple times a day, I do look to see, oh, who said something, who commented, who liked something, why am I so interested? Because it's about me. I was like, oh, well, usually you're not getting a bunch of negative comments. And also, when I'm looking at my email, I'm time blocking that because I know it's work. When I'm looking at my social media notifications, I have a different mindset because I know it's not going to be like my email inbox. So you have this free repeat branding because every single time I open up my notifications feed and I see your profile picture and your name, and then I read your comment, you have my attention. And you can have it multiple times a day, often if you're using social media. It is going to train your algorithm. The more you want to be seen by someone, the more you should engage with them. Because they will start seeing your content. It's just based on data points. Now, the system, this is my word, not Facebook or Instagram's, but I believe we all sort of get a score, if you will. And the system, let's be honest, wants to make money. These are for-profit companies that are serving you ads and want you to spend your time in that system. Whether that's a good thing or not a good thing, that's for another presentation. But it's looking at, are you being a good community member? Chelsea, are you keeping people here? Is your content keeping people here longer on the platform? Or are your comments bringing people back in? Because guess what? The odds of someone coming back in and checking a notification and then leaving again right away, not high. They might look around, look at a few things. Maybe they can serve their ads a few more times. I am looked as a great community member. I don't post every day in the feed. I post once a week in my feed. I talk to people every day. The fact that I talk to people every day, which I prefer anyway, because I don't really like making content and copy and hashtags and all of that. I just like talking to people. That has rated me as an excellent community member. So when I do post, it goes a lot farther for free. Direct messages are key. When I was in real estate and I started in 2000, thank you, Sam, for telling everyone it was 2000 BF, that's before Facebook. We did business the old-fashioned way back then, as a lot of you probably did too. I couldn't talk to you, I couldn't prospect unless I saw you in person, had your address, had an email, had your phone number, and you actually answered. I don't need any of that now to send you a direct message. And in a lot of cases, I can tell if you've opened it on the socials. You can't tell me like when I've opened up your text message because it's turned off, which if you didn't know that, you can actually turn that off. Okay, so it eliminates excuses. Well, I don't like being on video. I don't have time to learn something new. I don't really want to get on TikTok. It's not my thing. We all talk to people, right? We all talk to people. Sales is sales. How many people did you talk to? How many conversations did you initiate? It's the age-old sales strategy. Now you can do it at scale. Okay? So your takeaway number one, less contenting, more commenting. People say, well, my engagement's low. How often are you engaging? So think about, are you talking to people? Are you adding to the conversation? Are you asking questions in your comment? Are you just dropping a little like heart eye emoji and going on to the next one? That counts, by the way. The algorithm doesn't care if you're giving me a like or a 5-paragraph comment, but You will build brand and mind share if you are showing me that you are adding to the conversation. For example, this is a comment, right? Great video. To me, that says, I appreciate you dropping that comment, but now I know you didn't watch my video. I know you watched my video when you actually referenced something specific, and that makes you stand out. I appreciate that. All right, step number 2 is we need you to get found. You can't get followed unless you get found. Your content that you're making is fairly useless if no one's seeing it, right? So how do we optimize, just like you would optimize your website to get found, how do we make sure that your content has the best chance to get found, and not just get found, but get found by the right people, the people who are actually interested in buying and selling real estate in your area? This really falls in line with Instagram more so than Facebook, because the way Instagram works is, yes, I have a community of people that I'm already connected with, but unlike Facebook, Facebook caps you at a certain number and it doesn't go out. It's not a discovery platform. In fact, they're having problems with that right now. Instagram allows your content to be discovered by other people. Maybe they're looking for a word or a hashtag or a keyword or something, a location being tagged. So I not only have this pool of people that are in my community, but I can also get discovered by new people. True example, I don't even have my phone on me, but I should look at it. I posted on Instagram today, used hashtags, and since I landed here, I posted it at, what time was it this morning? 6:45 this morning. I have 32 new people who have followed me. Now, maybe that's not all from that, but I guarantee you some of those people found me because of the content that is discoverable on Instagram. So there's no better, if you love Facebook, Facebook's a great platform. If you love Twitter, whatever it is, they're all great platforms you can be super successful on. I like Instagram for business because I can have the best of both worlds. So if you are on Instagram, here's what you need to do to make sure that you're going to be found by the right people and optimized. I have pictures of this coming up too, so if you're not exactly sure what I'm talking about, stick with me. It's looking at what words you have in your profile and bio. What kind of keywords do you have there? It's looking at the words in your captions. When you're posting a picture and you have that description and the caption that you can write out, it's reading all of that. It's looking at the hashtags. Most people just think that's it. Okay, it's the hashtags. I need to figure out this like hashtag formula to make sure it works. That's part of it, but a hashtag is just a word with a symbol in front of it. These are all readable. This one is critical, and you must start doing this. As of today will be your last day that you post a video without closed captioning. Every single video you do from today on should have closed captioning, subtitles, for a variety of reasons. Number one, for inclusivity and accessibility for those who are unable to hear. For the 90%, I'm one of them, 90% of social media users who consume with no sound on. If I see you talking and there's no sound because I'm sitting next to someone, I'm not engaging. I'm scrolling right past and going on to the next thing that I can consume in the way that I want to consume it for where I'm at the moment. Also, those are words. Yes, the computer reads them, and it will help you get more engagement. I put captions on literally every single video, even videos or pictures that don't have any sound. I have context. I have context so that people actually engage with me. And then you want to have tagged locations, and there's something called write alt text. I don't have a picture of that. But what that is when you are uploading your picture to Instagram and you're typing out your caption, you can tag locations and people. There's a little setting that says advanced setting. Click it, and then it will take you to an accessibility section, and you just type in a written description of what is in your photograph. A written description of what is in your photograph. Again, for accessibility, but also to give data.
And we already talked about who you're engaging with. This is what I'm talking about on your Instagram profile. The 2 blue arrows, those are exact word matching fields. What that means is this is like a website. We all know what a website is. When I want to find something, I go to Google. I type in what I'm looking for in the Google search bar. Google goes through all the websites and says, here's what we think you're looking for, based on matching of words and a variety of other things. You can do the same thing on Instagram, and I can type in words into a search bar, and if I have those words in either 2 of these areas, I'm going to show up as a search result. So what kind of words do we want there? Oh, let me go back. 3 things if you're in real estate. You need your first and last name, because people will refer you, and if you have something like Jeep Lover 22, I'll never find you if I'm looking for you by name. So it's critical that your brand, your personal brand is in here. So look at that. Ask yourself, do I have my first and last name? Now, if you have a brokerage or a team, whatever you would be known by, but I do think there's such power in having your name there. Then you want a word that is industry specific. Real estate, realtor. You could do homes. If you're in mortgage, it would be mortgage or home loans. And most importantly, other than your name, location. Because I want you to think about how we use these search engines. If I'm a consumer and I wake up on Saturday and say, you know what, babe, I think we should list our house, I'm going to go to Instagram and find a realtor. No, we don't do that yet. We'll get there. But I'm not going to Instagram and a lot of these social platforms and searching for real estate content. But I do look at location-based content for locations I already live in or maybe where I'm going. So I want you to become associated with this location. So as a recap, your name, industry term, and a location. That's very important. If you're on LinkedIn, just to illustrate my point, every place on social media and the web can be read. If you have a LinkedIn profile and it's been a long time and maybe you forgot your login, it probably says real estate agent, realtor, real estate professional. Well, my friend Barry here has a whole bunch of keywords he wants to be found for, and he is going to show up much more often and get found by the people who are specifically looking for things like single tenant net lease. That's really niche. They're going to find their person immediately. Now, I am going to give you a hashtag strategy. I told you there's no magic formula, but there is a right way to use hashtags. So I want you to take a picture of this, and I want you to remember when you're looking at keywords, whether they have a symbol in front of it like a hashtag or not. Think about, what do you do? Real estate related hashtags. Realtor, real estate agent, homes, whatever it is. Something about your industry. You need to think about where you do it. Location-based words. For example, I live in Scottsdale, Arizona. I might have Scottsdale real estate, Scottsdale homes, Scottsdale living, Scottsdale parents. I'm a parent. All of that. And then I want you to think about what's in your photo or video. If you put a bunch of keywords that have to do with real estate and it's a picture of your cute puppy you just adopted, they know it doesn't go with the picture. So you can't trick the system. It's important to also have some words that are describing what your topic is, what your theme is, what's in the photo. The last one is the most important. Who should see it? This is the one that's a little bit hard. But I want you to think about your one ideal customer. What do they love to do? For me, I'm a dog lover. If you have a dog, we're already friends. So I might do something with Scottsdale dog owner. If you love food, you might do something like Scottsdale foodie, Scottsdale food places. Who do you want to work with that should see your content? So what do you do? Where do you do it? What's in your photo or video? Who should see it? Okay? Now, on how big, if I have people that are a little bit more advanced users in Instagram, I get this question a lot. How do I know which ones to use? I see these numbers associated with it. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, that's okay. You can send me a DM. But for those of you who do, When you see the number that says 136K, that's the number of posts using that hashtag across all of Instagram. It always changes. Typically, it always goes up. The number that you want to stay within to have the best shot of getting your content sorted and served and seen, it's 4-figure, 5-figure, 6-figure hashtags. Nothing ever over 1 million. So it's in the thousands, it's in the tens of thousands. So I'm just randomly guessing, I don't know this. I might type in Scottsdale real estate, and it might have 36,000 as the number. Perfect, I want to use that. If it has 3.6 million, we're not using it. Too many people, you will get buried. So that's my advanced tip for any Instagram users. Now, if you're looking for something to caption your videos, great app here. I'm sure there's a ton of them out there. I just like to use this one. I thought it was very user-friendly and extremely accurate. It might be $1 now. I'm not sure. At one time, it was free. It's called Captions Speak to the Camera, and I'm sure there's a bunch of other ones that you could find as well. Now, if you are on Instagram, they have this built in, which is awesome. It's called the caption sticker, and it auto-transcribes everything that you're saying. And if you follow me and you follow my stories today, you will see that I have this on every single story. Does it take one more second? It does. Does it increase your engagement by double digits? It does. So that's worth it in my book. If you are on Google, don't forget about Google My Business. Even though it's not, quote, social media in the format that you think it is, critical because we are local experts. And Google runs the show when you're doing searches. So it's important, if you haven't set this up, write down Google My Business account. You're gonna set one up. And if you have one and it's been a while since you've been in there, you need to treat this like a social media platform and weekly update this stuff. That's gonna give Google more information. It's gonna say, well, this person has 40 posts and this person has 1. We'll put this one with 40 up at the top of the list. Context, which is the meaning of content. It's also about formatting. Can anyone read the third paragraph? And this is on a huge screen. If this is on your phone, we talked about brains, right? Our brains don't read the same way on tech, scrolling through a feed, as they do a book or a magazine or a newspaper, right? So that content could have been great content, but it was in the wrong format. What does that mean? When we all walked into this room today, I bet all of you were like, oh, there's the stage. Maybe you saw where the exits were. That's a normal way for our brain to function. What I don't think anyone probably did is immediately walk in the room and start counting the number of waters on every table. Because if we did that, again, mental shortcuts, our brains would implode by 2 p.m. I barely make it to 4 every day. And so it's critical that we make it easy. Don't make my brain work. Don't make my brain burn calories on social. This, I'm like, can't read that. Small, lots of text, I'm moving on. So this content is awesome content in the wrong format. So we have to be aware of that. So go back, look at the stuff. Is it something that you probably would print out and read? How can you take that piece of content and maybe make a video? Or maybe take one point and make it a graphic so that I can read it. Too many calories. So that's step 1 and 2. Step 3 is shareable, savable content. Shareable, savable content is content that people want to share or want to save. This is like the pinnacle of content. I'd say content 2.0. And so what I will tell you is this. Not every piece of content you should make or ever do make is going to make it into this category. I just want you to have an awareness after you leave today of, would I share this if I saw it and it wasn't mine? Because we're really subjective about our own content. Would I share this? Maybe, maybe not. And so how do we do this? Well, let's talk about why you like, comment, and share. We engage because we relate to the story, because it's inspiring, it's motivating, it made me laugh. I shared a meme today with my mom group text that made me laugh. It helped me understand something or see it in a different way. It might be something that's a popular topic. Maybe it's trending. Most importantly, shareable content that we share and save, it has to say something about my brand for me to share it, which means it can't be about your brand. I'm not sharing stuff that's about someone else's brand. I'm sharing stuff because I thought it was really helpful or entertaining or inspiring, and I wanted to share it with my community. So when also we're doing so many great summaries, there's so many market updates, there's so much data, it's really critical that you make it really easy to understand. I was just talking to a group of mortgage professionals, and I put an example up, and it said something about a payoff and a few other words, and I go, you just made my brain burn way too many calories. I'm still stuck at the word payoff, and I know that you think that everybody knows what that means, but you have to really make it crystal clear. How would you describe it to your kiddo? Because that's what is going to set you apart. I could put up all the data just like all the other realtors that have the same data in my MLS. By the way, there's only one 100% unique content on the planet. Every piece of real estate content has been done, made, or used already. The only original content in the world, in the universe, is you, your experience, your perspective, your opinion, your story. So if we all have the same numbers, here's the inventory this month, every other realtor got it too, put yourself in the video. Tell me what it means to you. Give me your opinion. That's 100% original. Okay, here's an example of visuals. The picture in the middle is of my kiddo. It's cute, I got a lot of engagement, but I personally would think it would be very weird if someone shared it. I wouldn't share someone's picture of their kid. People don't share pictures of me usually. I have a different career where I'm usually on stages, but if it was just a regular person that wasn't on stages, nobody would share pictures of me. They'll engage with it, we need that. But this one that said, less contenting, more commenting, that had nothing to do with my brand. It was about serving my audience, teaching them about how to create content. And it had 155 shares and 133 saves. So it's important to understand that content about you is critical and you need to be in it, but shareable, savable content typically isn't about you. Great account for you all to follow. My friend Jimmy, 100% of his content is shareable and savable. Very rare. In fact, you'll see on this bottom one here, it says swipe and steal. He's saying, just steal this. Just take it. Don't even ask me. If you're wondering what to put in your email subject lines to get your customers to open it, just use this. That's something all of us would be like, let me share this with someone. Let me save this. It's really, really helpful. Step 4, let's talk about how we're starting conversations with our content. We started off this class talking about you starting conversations. Now, how do we get your content to start conversations? Very, very easy way, and I am not a copywriting expert. I actually just told you I hate writing. I wrote 2 books and I hate writing. What I learned, as we all can understand, is when you hear ads or infomercials, and this will make sense when I come to the next slide, they're using the word you, which is the most powerful word in the English language. Now, it's really easy to write a story that's about us and use the word I. So how do we take that story and just switch it around just a little bit? Here's how you do it. These will sound familiar. Just fill in the blank with any product. Have you ever felt like, imagine what it would feel like if you, do you struggle with? Now, I could make this Mine. Do you struggle with Instagram? Are you a busy real estate agent who has no idea how to use it? I can help you with that. So I want you to go through your captions, look at your posts and your videos, and I want you to start thinking you language, you language. Invite people into the story by saying you. When the story just says I, it's about me. Now you might relate to that, and I encourage you to give stories about you. Here's how I would do it. Imagine if I made a post about being totally off track in my productivity, and I could say, oh my gosh, I'm completely off track. But I could say, does anybody ever feel like their calendar gets away from them? Does anybody ever know what this feels like to balance picking the kids up from school and going to the bus and then going to the sports? And then I can tell my story. But I want to invite you to the conversation first. Like, I want you to come to my content and feel like you're walking into a conversation, not that you're just reading or that I'm talking at you. I also want you to think in terms of your comments, and comments that you get can become future content. Guess where I get all of my content ideas? Questions people ask me in the DMs, things that people leave me in comments, and sometimes we're so close to our content that we're like, oh, that's a great comment, that's a really good question. Use it as future content, especially when you're talking about things. If anyone here is using TikTok, Instagram Reels, this is a huge component of user-generated content. Someone leaving you a comment or a question, you responding, making a brand new video, answering that person's question. Now you'll see in the example right here that up where that little red arrow is, someone left a really kind comment. It wasn't even a question. And my friend Giselle said, you know what? I'm actually gonna make a video and I'm gonna talk to that comment. So you can actually really make content based on your comments as well as the comments you're getting. If you are using stories, which is the 24-hour disappearing content on Facebook, on Instagram, it's actually coming to TikTok as well. Stickers, like the poll sticker, critical. Because I don't want to burn a lot of calories. I don't really want to type in a whole bunch of stuff. But if you give me a poll where I can click this or this, I'm probably going to engage. And every single time someone clicks on a poll, that is a data point. So if I put a poll up that says, do you think I should wear socks today? And half the people say yes, and half the people say no, 100% of the people who answered are going to see my story at the front of their feed. That's exactly what I want. Every post, video, audio, you need to tell people how to engage. You need to tell people. If you make a really great shareable piece of content, maybe it's, I don't know, every summer camp for the summer that your kids could sign up for. Could I Google all that? Yeah. Do I want to? No. The fact that you have it right here, that sounds great. I'll share that with my friends too. Nothing to do with real estate, everything to do with you being a resource, you being top of mind, oh, and that school's in the neighborhood that you happen to be serving. But you need to tell people, hey, share this, would you? If you liked this, share it. It's the same way you ask for testimonials. And a lot of us have a hard time doing that. But if you have a piece of content that you think people should share and save, you have to tell them. Hey, everyone, you're going to want to save this for later because I'm going to give you some really good tips. Share this out if you got value. If this made you laugh, share it with your friends. Help someone else today who's thinking about buying a house who needs to know this information. If you don't tell them to do something, they won't. And I have tested this many times, and I will tell people to leave me a specific emoji. And people get out their keyboard and scroll through 5 things of emojis to find the one that I told them to leave me, and they do it. Don't make me burn brain calories. Just tell me how to engage. So this is the summary for better content. I'm actually going to give you a lot of examples coming up. I'm going to show you what this is, how to take good content and make it great. Take a picture of this because when you download that free guide, you're going to see what the 5 E's is. I'm not going to talk about that live here, but if you want more information about what are the 5 E's of content, you're going to go to my Instagram or my website, you're going to download my guide, and you're going to ask yourself these questions before you post. Okay? So the last step here is story focused. This is the hard part. How do we tell better stories? We're not storytellers, we're in real estate. So I'm going to give you some really easy ways that you can do this. The first thing you need to remember is that your brand is not a house. Your brand is you, it's your face, it's your voice. You cannot outsource yourself 100%. There are some things that you have to do. Sometimes we want to outsource all the things. You can do that, but it won't have the same results or the type of ROI that you are looking for. And my very favorite quote is this one right here. People come for the plot, but they're staying for the characters. And whether you like it or not, you're the character. You want to build the like, know, and trust. The best compliment I can get is when I go to a conference in a completely different state and people come up to me and say, oh my gosh, I've been watching your stories for 3 years. I feel like I know you. I'm like, you do know me. Like, you know, or people are like, oh my gosh, we love watching your videos. My family and I watch them all the time. Like, really? You've never commented. I didn't even know you were watching. People are watching. Now, you might want to take a picture of this. We're not going to go through each one of these, but I bet all of you have said at least one of these things. I have said all of them. I don't want it to be about me, me, me. I'm only going to take that one off the list today, and we're going to talk about that. No, we don't want to brag, right? There are people that brag on social media. There are people that brag in real life. But what I will tell you is that in 2022, how will I know who my trusted guide is if I don't know who I'm looking for? If I can't see your face, how will I know you're the one? Will you go to a meeting live and in person, and when somebody says, I'd like for you to look through my house and tell me what you'd list it for, and then you jump behind a wall and talk to them? No, we wouldn't do that. So it's important that you know that these are all just limiting beliefs. These are all things we tell ourselves to keep ourselves from doing the thing that we know we should be doing. I also want to talk about the difference between personal and private. I actually am a very private person. That surprises most people who watch my content. Personal content is human, relatable content. Pick one thing that everybody does. Everybody eats. Most people are probably going to watch the Super Bowl. I don't even watch sports, and I watch the Super Bowl. Those are personal human things. A market stat with a number and a logo is not human. You being in that content, talking about the market, that's personal. That's human. You decide what's private. You get to decide those boundaries and how you want them to look. But there is a difference between personal human content. You can be professional and human. You can make content that engages people and still be private. And one thing that I think is super helpful to me every time those limiting beliefs come into my head, your content is not for you. So when I say, I don't really like how my hair is looking, or I'm just not really feeling like that energy level, I just don't want to make a video, and someone says, wait a minute, if you make this video and you post it, and you help someone learn how to use Instagram or social media to make more money and do what they love and not be burned out, is that helping them? Yeah, that's helping them. Well, then why are you saying you don't want to make the video? Your content's not for you. My content is for you, right? So that takes a lot of that limiting beliefs out of it. I also love to show this. I was on my way to Vegas 2 months ago and this came out. This is YouTube's top 21 content creators, top 2021 content creators. Now, one thing I hear a lot is, I know, but it's kind of boring. My life is boring. Houses can be a little bit boring. Market data, mortgages, not super thrilling. Well, the two big red arrows, these are dentist accounts. Okay, and if you've ever heard of Ben the dentist, he goes by the Bentist. Hilarious. Hilarious. These people brought themselves to a really boring topic. So it doesn't matter what industry, doesn't matter what your service is, what your product is, what your topic is. That's, again, a limiting belief that we tell ourselves. So what is valuable content? Valuable content has context. We talked a little bit about that. What the heck is context? Context is how you make something have meaning to someone's head and or their heart. Ultimately, both, if you can. It's about value providing, storytelling. It's the format, meaning I'm not going to read this tiny text-heavy PDF. It's about relatability, likability. It's about non-verbal communication. The best tip I can give you for video is to put your hands in it. Because what do we do in real life? We talk, we use our hands, you lean forward, you see my face, you hear my voice go up and down. Non-verbal communication on a screen may be the only thing we have. It was all I had for 18 months. You weren't seeing me like this in 2020. And now, honestly, it's gotten kind of easy. I'm like, well, how about we just do a Zoom meeting and I don't have to drive 45 minutes? Okay. We're never going back to all the way that it was. It's just gotten too easy. Like up here where they said, we're not going back to where people are going to come and look at buildings. They might, but now it's just too easy. No, send me the drone. I don't want to go out there. So there's a difference between views and value. Value comes in all shapes and sizes. I talk about this because people are like, what the heck is valuable content? Am I not making valuable content? I thought that's what I was doing. Why isn't it working? Well, let me just change your mindset on value. Value could be any of these things. It could be making you laugh. It could be making you feel heard. It could be sending a direct message to someone who's having a bad day and I didn't even know that. But it brightened their day. It could be showing up as yourself. It could be supporting someone else's content. It could be asking for advice. People love to help. Make them feel needed. Just because it's measurable, like a like and a comment and a share, doesn't necessarily mean it is the only value that your content has. You need to really be asking yourself, is it building a relationship? Is it speaking to my superpower? Is it talking to my niche? My favorite one, is it bringing you any joy? Like, making content should not be all business. I made a video today because it made me laugh. It has nothing to do with what I do. But I want to have some joy in making my content as well. You don't have to, but I know that I will get burned out if I don't. I will put these up here. You can take a picture of them. I'm big on thinking about metrics differently. It's not about likes. It's not about comments. It's not about followers. Maybe you posted a video and didn't watch it back. I did that for 5 years because I knew if I watched myself back, I wouldn't make the next video. That's a metric. Great. Did it. Achieved it. How many conversations did you have today? Those are probably arguably more valuable than your followers and your likes. So rethink your metrics. Make them over. And I want you to love the lurkers. Love the lurkers because they're watching. They're not saying anything until they see you at the grocery store or the farmer's market or at church on Sunday and they're like, we've been watching your videos. You have? Well, that's kind of weird. Why aren't you ever saying anything? They're watching. There's value in the lurkers. So when you get down on yourself and you're like, oh my gosh, this one only got like 3 likes, there's value that you made it and value in the people that will still see it. So how do we turn your statements into stories? Because I know you're making a lot of statements right now. We need to turn them into stories. My favorite book is called Building a Story Brand. It's by Donald Miller, who writes a ton of great business books. This book talks about how every single movie, every single book that we've ever heard has the same storyline. There's a hero, they have a problem, they find a guide, they have happy ending, they have a sad ending. I don't know if anybody's ever seen this movie, Karate Kid. The hero is Daniel. By the way, the hero is ill-equipped, doesn't know what to do, needs help, is desperate. When we think of hero, that's not what we think. The guide knows exactly what to do. Been there, done that. I've got a plan. So I want you to think of this when you're making your post. Are you being the hero or are you being the guide? Because every morning we wake up and self-identify as the hero of our own story. So if your content's hero-focused about you being the hero, we're in different stories. Because there's only room for one hero and one guide in the story. So it's really important when they ask, can I trust you? Are you competent? So here's me as a dentist. Now, if you go through the list, you're like, okay, well, Chelsea, you told me I have to have social proof. I am the #1 dentist. Okay, you got me. You told me I have to put my face in it. Yes, I did. But you said I have to have a call to action. Yep, got me there too. And it's nice graphics. This is the hero. This is a statement. How do I turn it into a story? If I really was the top dentist and I cleaned 832 sets of teeth this last year, I would have seen a lot of stuff. I could tell you what was the hardest case and why. What should you be on the lookout for? What is the question people always ask me? What happened in an emergency? Those are stories. So tell me you're in real estate without telling me you're in real estate. Here's another example. Got my face, nice graphics, social proof, spent 22 years in the industry, top rank agent for 2020 and 21. And it's got my logo, right? That's a hero. How is that the guide? Is that helping me at all? That's more of an ad. This is that actual post. This is a real post that I made. That is the same post telling a story of how I got into real estate. It was not a great story. I had nowhere to live and no money. Moved into a 1,000-square-foot house with my, at the time, boyfriend, now husband of 20 years, his mom. And I shared that. This is the, I have been in real estate 22 years, but instead of me saying 22 years in the biz, I'm telling you a story that you can relate to. This is another great post. Under contract, yeah. We want to tell people that things are going under contract and we're responsible for it. This is a bit of the hero. How do I make that into a guide? This is my friend Desiree. She's telling me she's in real estate without telling me she's in real estate. I'm standing where? In a new home community. Now, I might notice that and ask a question because she talks about after meeting with a community that has been operating off the wait list only and only building 66 homes, we headed over to grab a quick pick-me-up. She just drops it. Maybe somebody says, oh my gosh, we want to get in there. Can you help us? Do you know someone? We're on that list. We're looking for a new home. She also talks about the coffee she ordered. Maybe that's what I engage with. But I love the product placement. Here's another friend of mine, Barb. This caption is about something really boring. It says, honesty is always the best policy. In real estate profession, we legally have to be honest. We have to disclose things. Well, what made me stop is her face. I know who she is. I'm like, oh, there's Barb. Let me see what she's talking about. She could have just put up like a tip of the day with a quote about fiduciary duty and what it is. This is my friend Nicole. She loves cooking. She's called the Hungry Realtor. And she says, I stopped here because I love wine. I also love skulls. So I stopped and I looked, and it says, celebrated opening escrow last night. She's telling a story. Product placement. By the way, I opened escrow, and I am celebrating making some steak and having some red wine. This one, beautiful graphic, new listing. That's a little bit of the hero. This is my friend Amy. She has, I'm sure, many more now, but that one video of her in the shower has 129,000 views when I took that screenshot. That's her new listing, and it says, when an out-of-town client asks me if the shower is big enough. Now, she looks like Elf on the Shelf in the middle. Hilarious. So this is kind of how you bring in that story, and if that is your personality. This is her personality. This may not be your personality, and that's okay. Let me show you another example she did. She sold a house. She could have just said another home sold. Great. This is Amy, and that's her personality. I love this picture of her. It brings me joy just looking at it. So in it, you can see that's the front picture, and you can swipe to the pictures of the house. She says, story time. I'd been working with an amazing client, telling a story about how she helped someone. Oh, and by the way, when I swiped, these are the pictures of the inside of the house. I would never have even looked at those if it hadn't been for that first picture. And I actually swiped through all of them, obviously because I took pictures. This one, does anybody ever see these? Yeah, good information. How about this one? The new conforming loan limit is up to $647,000. We all got the same number. Nothing unique about it. So how do we make it unique? This is my friend Glenda, who has 55 million views on TikTok, started it 1 year ago, now gets 100% of her business, usually luxury, from TikTok. She answers very boring real estate questions. This one is talking about how the appraiser measures square footage in the state of Georgia. That's pretty boring if you read it on paper. But she has personality plus. She tells you her opinion, her perspective, whether you like it or you don't, and she is the character that people are staying for. Now she's taking something that every other realtor in her entire state has access to and making it unique. This is my friend Taya. She has a show called Taya's 2 Cents. What is 2 cents? Your opinion, your perspective. None of these content ideas are original. Finding the right agent, that's not original. How about how to invest in properties? Not original. But her opinion is, and the way she delivers it. How about a now hiring? Beautiful graphic. Okay, great. That's a hero post. Here's a guide. This is actually the same idea. It's a recruiting post. My friend Ruthie Ann Taylor, I want to work anywhere that lets me have a dog there. Yes, I'm in. That's her annual Broker Olympics, where they do canoe races. That is a recruiting now hiring post. It just doesn't say it. This one is too. Katie, my friend in Texas. First annual business planning retreat where they made vision boards. I want to work at a place that does vision boards. Yeah, love that. Does it say now hiring? No. Does it say now hiring? Yes, it does. It just doesn't have the words on it. How about this? Autumn to-do list. Instead, my friend took a really fancy picture of herself on the couch. Real. Didn't take her any time. And then she said, what are you up to this weekend? Here's some ideas around hashtag RVA, which is Richmond, Virginia, if you're looking for any ideas. And there they are. Tuesday tip. Okay, we've seen these. Great information. It's in the wrong format. This is my friend Neil. He's in every single one of his posts. Because how do I know Neil is my guide? I have to see his face. He's talking about investing and wealth. That's kind of a heavy, boring topic when I'm scrolling through TikToks. But he's making me stop and he's helping me see, oh my gosh, yeah, that's a really good point. How about this one? Happy holidays, happy Thanksgiving, whatever it is. Okay, yeah, we want to talk about the holidays and what's going on. A little bit of the hero post. How do I make it a guide? There's Ruthie Ann. She's got her pies and talking about how thankful and grateful she is for everyone she was able to serve that year. Now she's got product placement. She's wearing a logoed shirt. She has logoed stickers on the pies. But would you rather see a Canva graphic of a turkey with a logo on it that says Happy Thanksgiving? Or would you rather see this? You're going to engage with something like this versus the other. This was my holiday posts. These were mine. I hate the elf on the shelf. It's never a good idea. I made a huge mistake 8 years ago getting one, and she's gone on to community service after this last year. So she will not be coming back to our home. And that was relatable to a ton of other parents who also were like, the elf. Yes, absolutely. So as we're closing out, I want you to ask yourself these questions as you're making content. Is what you're about to post more of a hero, or are you being a guide? Are you making a statement, or are you telling a story and inviting someone into it? The next slide is what you're going to get on the download. If you aren't sure what your story is anymore, these are questions you can ask yourself to get you started. Does your story include a lesson? Every Disney movie has a lesson. Every children's book has a lesson. When you're a guide, you're helping, inspiring, you're helping someone understand something, you're teaching something, you're giving a lesson, and or you're always asking a question. So those are some easy ways you can identify how to start moving your statements into stories. If you want all of my downloads, you can grab them by going to my website, which is chelseapeitz.com. You can also find me on the gram. Thank you, everyone, so much for sticking around for this portion of the show. And thank you to Fidelity Title.
Well, welcome back. Hopefully you watched the whole video. One of the things I was really hoping for while I was shooting the video is she was going to talk about YouTube, and she didn't talk about YouTube whatsoever. And I think with like Ryan Searhan and some other realtors and designers and photographers and fashion designers doing videos on YouTube. And one of the things I really think she missed out on is, once you post things on Instagram and Facebook, which I do that, and also LinkedIn, that stuff just kind of like disappears into the abyss. And with YouTube, it's, for the most part, it's evergreen, and people, if you post your SEO right, it's searchable. If you're doing that, like how to become a designer, how to become a photographer, how to produce a fashion show. And so that video just kind of lives on and can reach a lot of people. So I really wish you would have touched upon that. If you have any thoughts on that, please comment below. And we'll see you at our next video.